Republic of Kenya, as forwarded by His Excellency the President on 30th July 2024 and communicated to the House by the Speaker on 31st July 2024, Mrs. Beatrice Askul Moe, CS for East African Community Affairs and Regional Development, and to Mrs. Dorcas Agik Odong Odwor, OGW, EBS, Senior Counsel, Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya. Subsequently, the Honorable Speaker referred the CVs of the nominees to the Committee on Appointments for approval hearings in accordance with Section 6 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, CAP, and Standing Orders 2044 of the National Assembly, Standing Orders. Further, the Clerk of the National Assembly notified the nominees, Mr. Speaker, and the public that the committee will conduct the approval hearings on Friday, 9th August 2024 at the Mini Chamber County Hall, Parliament Buildings. Honorable Speaker, the committee also invited the public to submit memoranda by way of written statements on oath, affidavit, on the suitability of the nominees. To this end, the committee received 4 memoranda. 1 was hand-delivered and 3 submitted by email. Section 6(9) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act provides that any person may, prior to the approval hearing and by written statement on oath, provide the clerk with evidence contesting the suitability of a candidate to hold the office to which the candidate has been nominated. Honorable Speaker, out of the memoranda submitted, only 1 complied with Section 6(9) of the Act, while 3 were not in the form of affidavits and hence did not meet the requisite threshold. A detailed analysis of the memoranda is contained in Chapter 3 of the report. Additionally, it is noteworthy that for memoranda that did not meet the requirement of the law, the committee converted them into questions, and the members of the committee examined the nominees on all the questions from the public as evidenced by the report. Honorable Speaker, the committee also conducted background checks on the nominees by seeking references from the EACC on ethics and integrity, help on higher education loans board, Mr. Speaker, DCI on criminal records, ORPP on holding offices in political parties, and KRA on tax compliance. Honorable Speaker, in considering the suitability of the nominees for the appointment, the committee considered the constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the offices in question and whether the nominees' abilities, experience, and qualities meet the needs of the said offices. Honorable Speaker, further, the suitability of the nominees was assessed after scrutiny of their background, academic credentials, and professional qualifications, work and professional experience, personal integrity, as well as their performance during the approval hearings. To this end, the committee observed that 1, in addition to the already appointed cabinet secretaries, the nominees were drawn from various ethnic groups, including marginalized communities, and thereby a representation of Kenya's diverse communities. The nominees demonstrated an understanding of the mandates of the office to which they were being nominated. They articulated clear visions for the offices. Mrs. Beatrice Askul Moe is a career civil servant with vast experience in social governance and of arid and semi-arid lands. Ms. Dorcas Agik is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with over 15 years' experience as a distinguished legal practitioner, hence meets the requirement for nominations as Attorney General enshrined in Article 1563 and 166 of the Constitution. She has served for over 30 years in the public service and exhibited a great sense of the roles of the Office of the Attorney General. On behalf of the committee, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the nominees for offering themselves to the country and also thank the Office of the Clerk. But having said, Mr. Speaker, and having been part of the committee on appointment, Mr. Speaker, I participated also in the vetting of the nominees, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell this House, Mr. Speaker, without fear of contradiction, that this is now the real example of women that can lead this country, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished women, women who have prospered in their career, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the nominee for the Attorney General position, Mr. Speaker, when she appeared before us, Mr. Speaker, and she was somebody known to you, Mr. Speaker, for quite some long time, Mr. Speaker, and you worked with her in your profession of the legal fraternity, Mr. Speaker. The lady was exemplary, Mr. Speaker. If the President has rewarded, Mr. Speaker, merit, Mr. Speaker, somebody who deserves a job, Mr. Speaker, then it was in the appointment, in the nomination of Mrs. Dorcas Oduor, Mr. Speaker, as the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, that lady had vast experience in the field that she has been sent to serve, Mr. Speaker. She knew everything, from legal matters to treaties to all kinds of things that we questioned on her, Mr. Speaker. The exemplary work she has done in the ODPP, Mr. Speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, this is a good example of women. Now, I am convinced that women can lead this country, Mr. Speaker. When I saw the interview of that lady is when I got convinced from that day that we can accept women leadership now, because we are always men chauvinists, Mr. Speaker. Men chauvinists. Now I've agreed that women is a good example of a leader, is a good example of a person who can be trusted with an office, Mr. Speaker, that deserves to be trusted to a woman, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is, Honorable Shakil is making noise here saying that why am I not appreciating my wife, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, my wife is known in my constituency because she campaigns for me and she's a distinguished leader in her own right. But today we are discussing the appointment of the Attorney General and Mrs. Beatrice School, Mr. Speaker. Mrs. Beatrice School, Mr. Speaker, is somebody known to me. She was in our election board. This is a lady who has shown how you can come from the bottom of the pyramid and go far, like today being our cabinet secretary in this country. Mr. Speaker, no, bottom up is another case. But this one is a bottom up for a different matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this lady also has shown this country that women from minorities, women from marginalized communities can also be leaders in the country, Mr. Speaker. This country is very proud today, Mr. Speaker. If the House approves these two ladies, Mr. Speaker, we will be sending a message to this country and to the international community that we have women of high standard, women of integrity, women who can lead this country and even lead international organizations, Mr. Speaker. When I saw Dorcas Agik speaking, Mr. Speaker, she reminded me of Amina Mohammed, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, Mr. Speaker, who was a friend to me. Distinguished, a cabinet secretary who served in the former regime, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I urge this House that let us not take a lot of time in discussing these two women. These are women of high caliber, high standard. These are women who can lead this country at any time, Mr. Speaker. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support and I request the House to support the committee's recommendation to approve the two nominees, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, I call upon the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Owen Baya, to second the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Leader of Minority for moving with passion the adoption of this report, noting that during the interview, he was really impressed by these two ladies. Honorable Speaker, I second this motion very, very strongly.
The Committee of Appointment. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to appreciate His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto for making an history. He has made history today, having nominated the first woman who is going to occupy the position of Attorney General in the Republic of Kenya. That is an history, and I want to say thank you. Second history is to nominate a woman from a marginalized community, the Turkana, the first woman, if approved by this House, to be a cabinet secretary in the Republic of Kenya. Thank you, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for making history. Honorable Speaker, when we are doing vetting, it was really amazing. Dr. Dorcas Agik demonstrated knowledge even on technical issues on the portfolio she's going to occupy. She also demonstrated the path and a roadmap from where we are and where we want to be as a country. The professional experience she has in terms of legal matters. She has worked in the judiciary and so many other areas pertaining law. Honorable Speaker, Madam Beatrice Askul is a person I know. I've been with her in the ODM. She really proved that she's going to bring some measures and strategy to help the communities in the Asal area, having been born and bred in Turkana, being part of Asal area. Honorable Speaker, I think this was the best thing which our president has really done for this country. I know now we are making progress in terms of gender mainstreaming, or rather gender balance. It's now we are feeling the gender disparity which we have been having in this country. I'm so happy that to
Bashir.